Next up, I'm going to show you some of the work that went into me modeling a 1950 style robot. Okay, I want to maintain that cheesy look, but also update it with some modern type things that go nowhere and do nothing. It's because these robots, it was during a time when nuclear energy and a lot of things were new to us, and people could just take parts from some of that equipment and put it on this, and it looked like sci-fi. And so people didn't know, because not there was no such thing as PCs back then, and they had computers, but it's not like your average person had one. So you could have just about anything that was industrial looking, and then it would look science fiction because your average person never saw the inner workings of a lot of these industrial devices. So, but still, I wanted to make a robot in that style for a little project I'm working on. That's your front view, side view. So I said, you know what? I want to do that, but I want to also update it with some new details that look complicated, but it's still BS. One thing I wanted to have was lots of screws. I didn't use rivets. I used screws because while this is inspired by one of those robots from those movies, it was also inspired by the toys that came from those movies, or were just straight up toys. So hence the screws. Because think about it. I mean, if this is some big 50-foot tall robot or something, it's destroying buildings. That's a big ass screwdriver. So that's why I did it. I did it so that it would look actually more complicated, because a rivet is just okay. It's kind of round on the top, and it's all about making it look complicated. So let's go to a few of the details. So you have your big gauge. Oh, and another thing I did on purpose was I purposely did not use a very high polygon count when I made this. So that's why I kept the shapes not as rounded, just to sell the point that this is a blocky looking robot. And still, even with the way it looks, it's better than um, one of those robots anyway. So either way, it's fine. But that's just to sell the point. It's cheesy, so it's staying that way. So you got your dials. You got your indicators in the front. That started off being sort of a gear, but I said, you know what? Let me not do a gear. I saved that for up here. Lots of gears. So one thing about those, I looked at a lot of pictures of toys and a lot of the robots and comic book stuff. There was always this part where you could see the inner workings, and it was exposed, almost like a car with its hood off, and you see the engine running. So you have to have that. Some kind of, I don't know, power indicator, a gauge. So you're going to have gauges. So all kinds of indicators on the front. Crap ton of rivets or bolts or whatever. In my case, screws. I said, oh, let me put some tanks on there. There's also a tank on the back. Didn't see too many, but I said one thing I started doing when I was a kid on my science fiction is putting vents on things. So you got vents. Zoom in close so you can see them. So they're either going horizontally or vertically. No rhyme or reason to the angle. I just said, okay, I would either change the spacing or if it was horizontal or vertical. There was no reason to me having them upwards or downwards. So that should be pretty much the same on the other side. There is a neck. Some of the robots don't have necks, so it's fixed. I put a little one on there just for a little bit of rotation. In the beginning, I had bolts on the bottom just to say, this plating is bolted in here. But that looked, even with this, it looked kind of weird having bolts right there, and there was enough clearance, but I decided to take it off. I had to be selective about what I was going to color because it's mostly, pretty much flat color, and this is going to be textured to be, metal material or a very shiny plastic. I thought of using anodized metals, but that texture looks weird on here. I've already tested it out, and it doesn't look good to have all that texture. It also, I don't want it to be crazy reflective either. You got your joints. The arms have joints. You got your big ass feet. There is a separation I put here, so where this leg attaches to the foot, that would move. Same thing with here. This part right here moves. It's sort of independent of this. So while this could be resting on the ground, that could kind of rock a little bit forward. And that's kind of like where the rhyme and reason behind this kind of disappears. Because if you look at these legs wouldn't even work all that well. It's kind of like, this would work good as a toy. It wouldn't work good if you did say, okay, I'm making a robot and it happens to look like this. It wouldn't be able to walk. There's no knee. There's no joint. I mean, it moves here. That moves, but you need something here. Otherwise, if this thing tries to move, its leg can move, but it would be sort of it'll look like a weird skating maneuver. It's useless. You would probably maybe need some wheels. And if he does have wheels on the bottom, why not just join these? Kind of like the robot from Lost in Space. The original, not the freaking updated movie that came out in the 90s. Let's forget about that ever happened. Okay, yeah. Although there were a few scenes in the robot from Lost in Space where they showed him, his legs were kind of moving, but most of the time he was rolling. But this is all about the look. I did add around the skirting sort of I didn't want to make it too much like a cod piece. Let me hide that for a second. But the reason I cover that up is because I wanted to sell the point that this is an area where he can turn, not bend, but just turn. Because I have to pose this. He is going to be posed very, very limited movement. Not too limited, but there's like, this thing can't sit down. There's no way you can sit down. When was the last time you saw a robot like this sit down? This part, his claws, I did drop out of the ridiculousness of this design and did think about these two halves. They do sort of make sense. There is a separation, and they can move to a point. A little bit, they can extend. So that part rotates and that part rotates. Let's go back to the legs for a second. There is a bar that connects the two legs together. You can see it right here. So that's going straight through there. And that's why I had to have the separation. I said, well, it also kept me honest as far as the space in between the legs, because in the beginning I didn't have it. I just left it like that. But I said, you know what? I need to make sure that there's a certain amount of space, because if they were like too close, it obviously wouldn't make sense. Let's see here. Oh, you got to have the weird sensor things on the head. I was thinking about this, and yeah, so his arms wouldn't be able to go straight up because they would hit the little sensor cluster thingy. So let's do that for a second. Oh wait, hold on. So if we rotated this arm, let's put that right there. Bam, that's where it hits it. So this guy, you better be careful, right? You gotta be careful. You can't get carried away. with rotating that arm. Otherwise, you're gonna you're, you're gonna whack off the side of your face. I mean, if you look at a person, we there is enough clearance. Our arms, because this is basically I'm saying this is the shoulder, but our shoulders go past that, past, you know. Then you have the arms. Um, yeah, it's fine. But, you know, but let's look at this. So instead of just making it a red thing and not even showing what's inside, I actually made it transparent. And yeah, it's some sort of, you know, whatever. It's a little sensor thingy. And there is one on the top. It's basically the same thing, except it's enlarged. But I did make a slight change, just minor. This thing right here, this little whatever the hell, just to make it look different. Not that anyone would be thinking, did he actually just cut and paste that shape? Yes, I did. But I changed it a little bit. Also, when I was making this, like even doing the legs, I wasn't trying to line them up perfectly. I did even the bolts to some extent. I said, okay, I made like say 3, and then I copied it and dragged them over. But I wasn't trying to be totally perfect when I was aligning them. It was just like, just eyeball it, you know. Anyway, so that's what I changed there. Yeah, so that's and then oh, hold on. Then there's some, you know, some detail looking thing right there. More detail there than right here. It's smooth right there. That's on purpose because in this case, the business end, to use a euphemism, of this thing is all about the face. Now, one thing that's different than this, than a 50 style robot, is it's as far as what it would, you know, the basic things of that is its face. This is actually supposed to be like a monitor or screen or something like that, a TV or something like that. So its facial expressions are projected on a screen. And I actually have 2 pieces. I have a piece, and you have to disregard the coloring on this. This is just so that it makes it easier for me to isolate things. Although it will be blue and that's going to be red, but most of the other colors are not. They're just a guide. So its face, I have 2 parts. I have this part where it's like a tint, you know, sort of a darker section. Tint as in T-I-N-T, like on a car, like on a window. It's tinted glass. And then I have this part. So the film is going to be covering the part, and then what's actually being projected is going to be on this this polygon, and that's where it's going to display his different facial expressions that are like you know, almost like, in this case, sort of like 8-bit projections. So that's what's going to be on there. And the 10 is just to give it a little bit more. It'll be subtle, but you know, sort of some depth to make it look like, oh, okay, that to sell the point, it is a screen, even though it being on the face, it'll be obvious it's a screen. Just one little detail. I think that's it for the features. Oh yeah, here's the back. I said let me just give it a slight difference on the back, so it's more like almost like a little backpack action going on there. Got the tank. Tanks are sitting on these pylons. To sell the point, it's, you know, I could have just stuck the tank on there, but I said, oh, let me have at least that make a little bit of sense. You see it's cutting through there. That doesn't make sense, but whatever. Some of my approach to this is based on some of the stuff you can get away when you make video games. How things are attached. Not cinematics, but the actual the playable stuff. You know, for example, I know that I missed this part right here. I didn't color that, and I could easily color that. Like even like right now, I can go, okay, let me just, you know, make that red real quick. You know what? It doesn't actually matter. No one's gonna see it. No one's gonna see it. It's not gonna really affect anything. I don't even really care. Um, whatever, whatever. Doesn't matter. Anyway, so that is my. Oh yeah, and this gauge has a cover on it too. So um, just to sell the point, it has some depth. It also has dimension to it. The the indicators, little tick marks. So that's all 3D. That's not flat. And I looked at the gauges. They're usually ones that I saw were usually sort of an orange color. So I said, oh, let's make it orange. But there is more detail definitely on the head than there is on the rest of the body. Oh wait, hold on. Let's see. I keep saying. Okay, so there's another. One thing I noticed on a few of the robots, or at least on one that I really liked, it had some weird. And this is on a. It was like on a toy. It had some weird door thing on there. Which if you open it, those are going to block it. I don't know. Whatever. It opens up. You see the inner workings of its leg. Yep. So that's pretty much it for now. Here's a top view, bottom view, front view, back view, side view. Boop, 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 bow. Oh, and the cool thing about it is this actually, even the way it is, I'll just do a little preview real quick, just to let you know, it doesn't really matter what you model in. It in my opinion, it doesn't matter if it looks, because I know people that have uh, worked in a few programs, like maybe they did something in Lightwave, and the company that they applied to, that they got the job at the time, was Digital Domain. They were using Maya or something like that, and the guy that I know, he only had, I think, like it was like 3 models, but they're really good. It had the wireframe, it had the render, and the simple poses, and you got the job because you could tell, okay, you know what you're doing. You can learn a program, you know. Oh, anyway, I already had one, but here's yeah, don't say. Here's what it might look like. Just an example. So it takes it a while for this program to update, but um, this isn't nowhere done. I'm still um, making some decisions, but this is an example of it's not as bad as it might look. You can go anywhere. You can go for looking sort of photoreal, even with something very unrealistic, or not. There's different ways of making a computer model look. It all depends on what you're going for, the mood and things like that. So yeah. So this program, it'll do pretty much a real time rendering, but your final product will look better than even the update. But this is cool because it gives you an idea of what your stuff is going to look like. Kind of like I like comparing it to the filter gallery in Photoshop. I remember using Photoshop years ago, to where, well, they had no filter gallery. You basically had to wait to render your filter to find out what it was going to look like. And we're talking like I think I started using Photoshop back in 1989 or 88 or something like that. Something like that. I kind of forgot. I was using it since the beginning, but I remember having to wait maybe a half hour for a filter to be applied, only to find out that it wasn't the effect that I wanted. And I remember thinking, I'm like, God, why do I have to wait? I wish they could show me a preview. So there's a lot of things that I appreciate now that even back in the day, I didn't think it was all that cool. I wasn't impressed. I was like, that man, I'll be glad when we get faster. Yeah. So um, a lot of the technology nowadays, I'm more like, well, it's about time. Like where's my flying suit? Where's the flying car? And let's have a story about the flying car. I'll say that for another. Me working on that. We'll save that later. But anyway, yeah. So this is it gives you some idea of what he might look like. There's one of his facial expressions. Anger, angry robot. So these things, I'm probably gonna light them up a little bit. Those sort of have a glow. Yeah. That's it. My 50 style robot. I'm just calling him Retrobot. Retrobot. And yeah, you'll see more of him for a special project, although I'm not going to really talk about it until it's done. But let's put it this way. I have to do about 40 different poses for this guy. So yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.